Hello and welcome back. So we're working on 3-4 in this particular video. I'm in the work togethers. You should be doing the on your owns and the application problems just to reinforce what you're learning in the video. Obviously, feel free to go back to these videos, look through your book, look through your notes just to get some help doing it. On my screen, I have the PDF for the textbook also opened. I'm on page 78 at this point, and this is the work together problem for 3-4. We're still working in the same company, Norm Derner's company, and the month is April. So the last transaction that we worked on for this particular spreadsheet was on the 21st, where we paid cash to the owner for personal use. Now I'm going to move over to the transaction on the 23rd, where I sold more services to El Rohi for $375. A good hint is that when you're working on transactions and you're not sure how to journalize them, go take a peek at what you did for that source document previously, because at this point now our spreadsheet's pretty complete. So I know that whenever I sell services on account and I use a sales invoice, that's kind of a hint that the sales invoice transactions always look the same. We're on sales invoice number 2. That makes sense because last one was sales invoice number 1. And if you take a peek above, you'll notice it's going to be a general debit and a sales credit. So I don't have to really do a lot of analyzing. I mean, the good news is that you always have something to look back at once you get your spreadsheet going. So 375 is my general debit and 375 is my sales credit. And then the next transaction is the last one that I can fit on this page. And I've made it so that a printable page would be 21 rows. That's the only rows that have borders around them. Obviously, the spreadsheet continues to go further down, but we like to stop at a certain point so that these documents can become permanent records for our business by printing them. So when we show the page 2 along the bottom, you'll see later, I actually have some information there. I'm going to clear that out. We will have information on page 2 in section 3-4 also. So actually should have done that before I showed you this because I want to show it to you in real time. I can point it out. I'm not going to stop the video. Okay, here we go. So the last transaction that I can fit on this page is the 27th, where I pay cash to the owner for personal use again. Just be careful when you start to type Norm Derner. It does come up as the drawing account and not the capital account. Sometimes it does that. And we're dealing with check number 7. Whenever we pay cash to the owner, we're talking general debit, cash credit, and it was a $500 transaction. So when you finish page 1 of this particular work together journal, you should have totals that match mine. Always know that the last row should be the same date as the previous transaction. We're going to use the words carried forward because that's what we're about to do with the totals. And we're using formulas along this bottom row to make sure that the formula is accurate. But the proving number on page 1, and maybe you know this from being in class, should have been $9,213. So I'm ready to double rule. Double ruling just means I underline the bottom with a border, and I'm going to choose the bottom border of a double underline style, and the position is going to be bottom. So you see it looks like that. So now the next question is, what do I do with those totals? We talked a little bit about how if you copied and pasted them, you would have a problem. So the smart thing to do would be to do a cell reference. So in case you missed the replay on how to do that, I'm going to delete everything that I have here just to make things easier for myself. And we should be actually hitting an equal sign, clicking on page 1, clicking on the cell that we really want the total to come from, and then hitting the enter button. And by doing that, what you end up getting is not just the number, but you get a reference to that number. Why is that important? Because if something changes on page 1, it will automatically change on the next page. So for instance, if this transaction was really $1,500 and that total was really $59.58, then on page 2, it would automatically update to $59.58. It isn't. It's not $59.58. It's $49.58. So I just did a quick undo to get that. Once I have the first cell reference, I can take the corner and autofill it all the way across. So you'll notice that on this page 2 of the journal, it just continues on with the transactions. I'm not going to go through them because I think we've seen transactions like this before, but you may want to just check your work against this video to make sure that you did them correctly in the work together. But big thing here is that make sure on the first row you're using the words brought forward. This is an old spreadsheet that I've been using, so we should have the year is 2020. The date, a month is April, and the date is the 27th. Month is only important for the first row. The rest can just be the day of the month. When you come to the last row, because our last transaction was selling services and receiving cash, when you get to the last row, we're going to write the word totals because there's more than one, plural. And same thing, create a formula that can take everything from the brought forward totals all the way down. Be sure that your debits equal your credits. If I don't have a proof here, you could easily do one. And here's how you could do it. You could just put the words debit and the word credit, but you want to prove that in fact equals this general debit plus this cash debit, and just point to the cell. Should in fact equal this general credit plus this sales credit plus this cash credit. So the proving number for page 2 of the journal, sorry, it's popping out of my screen, should be $10,057. Oh, look, there it is. I was ahead of the game. So, but that's how you do a little proof on the side. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to make a second video for 3-4 for part 2 of 3-4, which is called Proving Cash.